Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. And happy Parents' Day, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. Without him, we might not have this knowledge. He encouraged Srila Prabhupada to come to the West and help the devotees or potential devotees in the West, people in the West, to gain this knowledge. And so, thanks to him. Jai. Start with Radha Madhav. Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Giravardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Giravardhari Shodhanandana Rajjana Ranjana Shodhanandana Rajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tiruvanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyan Anjana Shalakya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Staptam Yena Bhutale Samrupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savdutam Krishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shiva Shakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpata Vrihascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Te Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasi Gaur Bhakt Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Lam Yate Girim Yat Kirpatam Vande Shri Gurun Din Taranam Paramandam Atmavam Shri Chaitanya Ishram Hari Om Tassat Narayan Maskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaimaduriyat Nasta Pareshva Abdureshu Nitya Bhakti Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestaki. Okay, so chapter 15, we're coming nearly to the end. Now of this chapter, we'll have one more session on Monday, and then Wednesday will be the overview with the Acharya Gorarai Prabhu. So he'll be doing the overview. in the evening on Wednesday, so no morning session. We'll do the program in the evening on Wednesday. So last time we was talking about the Kali Yuga, how it became so prevalent after Krishna's disappearance. We're just waiting for Krishna to go, and then it just, it took over. Mother Yudhishthira could see the signs, and then we also talk about how Maharaj Yudhishthira made room for his grandson to take over the throne. The position, once he and the other Pandavas left, they were anticipating doing that sooner or later. And we should also, have the same mentality that, we have to give up our position to our children, our grandchildren. We cannot hold on to them forever. So we should train them up so they can do, the needful. And also there's conversation of power of community, how together we can neutralize the effects of Kali. Kali is very strong. 1-to-1 is very strong. When we are on our own, we'll get, we have sinful inclinations. If you like drinking, you will grab a bottle. If you like gambling, you start gambling. So like that, whatever your weaknesses are, you will give in to them when you're on your own, because Kali is there, Maya is there. But as a community, very strong, it has no effect on us. So it's mentioned that our consciousness has so many holes in it, and Maya is like water. Just like water can find a hole and it can enter it, even the smallest, slightest hole, it can enter. Maya is same. It can enter the hole, the weakness in your consciousness, and it enters like water, like a liquid, into that consciousness and take over. So we have to be very careful that we get rid of those holes, we patch up those holes that are in our consciousness, and not let Maya through. Well, Maya will always be there ready to go through. As soon as it sees an opening, it will try and get through. But what happens when that water of Maya gets through the holes of your consciousness, the fire you try to build of spirituality, of Krishna consciousness, will be put out by that water, right? So when the water goes on fire, it puts it out. So it doesn't matter how big a fire you try to build with spirituality, with your sadhana, the water of Maya sees a hole, it will go through and put out that fire. So we have to be very careful. So one side we're doing the sadhana, other side we make sure Maya is not able to get in. Okay, so we're in verse 39, and let's make a start. Okay, for some reason I got 38. Should be 39.
Yeah, 39.
Okay. Mathurayam tatha vajram shurasen patim tatha prajapatyam nirupayeshitam agnin apibad ishvaraha. So Mathurayam, at Mathura, tatha also Vajram Vajr, Shursen Patim, king of the Shursenas, tatha thereafter Prajapatyam, Prajapatya sacrifice, Nirupya having performed, Ishtim gold, Agnin fire, Apibat placed himself, Ishvara cable. So what we're saying here, then he posted Vajra, so this is Maharaj Yudhishthira. So then he posted Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, grandson of Lord Krishna, at Mathura as the king of Shurasen. Afterwards, Maharaj Yudhishthira performed a Prajapatya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire for quitting household life. So there's some process, rituals, and some responsibilities that Maharaj Yudhishthira had to fulfill before leaving his kingdom. So he's made sure that everybody is in the position, and all kingdoms are secure. They have a ruler before he leaves, because he has a responsibility to the praja as well, of each for each, because he's an emperor, so he has to make sure that each kingdom is secure. He's enthroned Maharaj Parikshit in Hastinapur and Vajra in Mathura. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, after placing Maharaj Parikshit on the imperial throne of Hastinapur, and after posting Vajra, the great grandson of Lord Krishna, as the king of Mathura, accepted the renounced order of life. The system of 4 orders of life and 4 castes in terms of quality and work, known as Varnashram Dharma, is the beginning of real human life. And Maharaj Yudhishthira, as the protector of the system of human activities, timely retired from active life as a sannyasi, handing over the charge of the administration to a trained prince, Maharaj Parikshit. The scientific system of Varnashram Dharma divides the human life into 4 divisions of occupation and 4 orders of life. The 4 orders of life as Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanprasth and Sannyas are to be followed by all, irrespective of the occupational division. Modern politicians do not wish to retire from active life, even they are old enough, but Yudhishthira Maharaj, as an ideal king, voluntarily retired from active administrative life to prepare himself for the next life. Everyone's life must be so arranged that the last stage of life, say at least the last 15 to 20 years prior to death, can be absolutely devoted to devotional service of the Lord to attain the highest perfection of life. So Srila Prabhupada, he's saying that not necessarily, at 50, but he's saying at least the last 15-20 years of your life, but we don't know how long we got. But towards the elder years, at least, we should try and become detached from Grihastha life, and let somebody else do that, and we should focus on our sadhana, our bhakti, like as much as possible, give maximum time to that. So that's like being a vanprastha. If not a sannyasi, it's like a vanprastha type of living. It is really foolishness to engage oneself all the days of one's life in material enjoyment and fruit activities. So, but that's basically where you're giving up too much material enjoyment and fruity activities. Because as long as the mind remains absorbed in fruity work for material enjoyment, there is no chance of getting out from conditioned life or material bondage. No one should follow this suicidal policy of neglecting one's supreme task of attaining the highest perfection of life, namely going back home, back to Godhead. Excuse me. So that's 39. So you can obtain many things in life, but the supreme task is to attain the highest perfection of life in going back to Godhead. That's the bottom line. Vishrajya tatra tatsarvam dukula valyadikam nirmamo nirhankara sanchina shesha bandhana. So visarjya, relinquishing, tatra, all those that, sarva, everything, dukula, belt, valya adikam, and bangles, nirmama, uninterested, nirha, ankara, unattached, sanchin, perfectly cut off, a shesh bandha, unlimited attachment. So Maharaj Yudhishthira at once relinquished all his garments, belt and ornaments of the royal order and became completely disinterested and unattached to everything. So all that they fought for now is just giving every little thing up that is royal. So to become purified of material contamination is a necessary qualification for becoming one of the associates of the Lord. So no one can become an associate of the Lord or can go back to Godhead without such purification. So if you have any attachments, any impurities, you have to come back, and because whatever you, that means you have impurities in your consciousness. So yeah, that wherever your consciousness goes, that's where your subtle body goes. Where your subtle body goes, that's where your gross body will be made. So whatever the mind is thinking, so if there's no more attachments of material life, then naturally it will go towards Krishna. That's if Krishna is in your consciousness, that you are Krishna. So it's not just giving up, becoming purified, is becoming Krishna conscious, taking Krishna conscious on as well, both things. So if you become purified, but you're still interested in something else, maybe some demigod, then you will go there. If you're interested in Ram, then you go to Ayodhya. You'll end up in spiritual planet of Ayodhya. So if you're interested in Krishna, then you can go there. So, well, the point is that once you become materially purified, you will end up in the spiritual world. But where do you want to go in the spiritual world? There's options, there's choices. Whichever destination your consciousness wants to go to, or they're attached to, it will go there. Madhishta, therefore, to become spiritually pure, at once gave up his royal opulence, relinquishing his royal dress and garments. The kashaya, or saffron loincloth of a sannyasi, indicates freedom from all attractive material garments. And thus he changed his dress accordingly. He became disinterested in his kingdom and family, and thus became free from all material contamination. So these are the contaminations, our opulence, the family, or material designations. People are generally attached to various kinds of designations, and these are designations of family, society, country, occupation, wealth, position, and many others. So as long as one is attached to such designations, he is considered materially impure. The so-called leaders of men in the modern age are attached by national consciousness. So not Krishna consciousness, national consciousness. But they don't know that such false consciousness is also another designation of the materially conditioned soul. One has to relinquish such designations before one can become eligible to go back to Godhead. So you have to declare that there is nothing that you're interested in, no longer interested in the material world, that you have to come back for. So you can only move forward. Foolish people adore such men who die in national consciousness. But here is an example of Maharajishthir, a royal king who prepared himself to leave this world without such national consciousness. So, are we national conscious? Are we family conscious? Are we work conscious? What are we attached to? Are we entertainment conscious, sports conscious? What are we, what are we attached to? And yet he's remembered even today because he was a great pious king, almost on the same level with the person of God, Shri Ram. So he ruled like Ram Rajya. That's why it's compared to Ram, because his kingdom was like Ram Rajya. Everybody was happy. There was no problems. And they were all looked after nicely. And because people of the world were dominated by such pious kings, they were happy in all respects. And it was quite possible for such great emperors to rule the world. So the emperors to all the kingdoms. 40. So just to mention here that like Putana went back home, even though she may have accumulated so many sins, mercy of Vaishnavas, mercy of Srila Prabhupada can take you back home. We want to first act, endeavor, purify, and then also we need to pray that I've done my bit. Krishna, please don't forget me, and please accept me back. So it's not like, oh, I've done this now, I'm guaranteed a passport, a ticket back home. No, then you still have to pray for Krishna's mercy that he wants you back, right? It's not like automatic. Nothing is automatic. The mercy can come, or mercy may not come. It's up to Krishna. He decides. We don't decide this. Vacham juha manasi tat pran itre chatam mrityav apanam sota sargam tam panchatve hi ajo havit. So vacham, speech is juha, relinquished. Manasi, into the mind. Tat prane, mind into breathing. Itarcha, or the senses also. Tam, into that. Mrityao, into death. Apanam, breathing. Sa utsargam, with all dedication. Tam, that. Panchatave, into the body made of 5 elements. And he certainly, ajohavit, amalgamated it. Then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind, then the mind into life, life into breathing, his total existence into the body embodiment of the 5 elements, and his body into death. Then as pure self he became free from the material conception of life. So my sister, like his brother Arjuna, began to concentrate and gradually became freed from all material bondage. So his brothers are following the same, whatever he was doing. First he concentrated all the actions of senses and amalgamated them into the mind, or in other words, he turned his mind towards the transcendental service of the Lord. He prayed that since all material activities are performed by the mind, internal actions and reactions of the material senses, and since he was going back to Godhead, the mind would wind up its material activities and be turned towards the transcendental service to the Lord. There was no longer a need for material activities. Actually, the activities of the mind cannot be stopped, for they are a reflection of the eternal soul. But the quality of the activities can be changed from matter to the transcendental service of the Lord. So the mind, as you know, always needs engagement. You cannot completely stop it engaging. When you stop engaging, you fall asleep, right? If you try to meditate and try to tune into the mind and stop it thinking, as soon as you do that, you start snoring. It's automatic. I have tried it. It's an automatic reaction. It's not like you empty your mind now you're going to get a connection. Now, as soon as your mind is empty, your snores take over. You can be just sitting in a meditation position, and your mind stops, sleep takes over. It's automatic. So the material color of the mind is changed when one washes it clean of the contaminations of life breathing, and thereby frees it from the contamination of repeated births and deaths, and situates it in pure spiritual life. All is manifested by the temporary embodiment of the material body, which is a production of the mind at the time of death. And if the mind is purified by practice of transcendental loving service to the Lord, by the practice, so it's not like you can do it last minute, by the practice of transcendental loving service to the Lord, and is constantly engaged in the service of the Lord's feet to the Lord, there is no more chance of the mind producing another material body after death. So it's an ongoing process. It's not something you can do last minute. It has to be practiced. It will be freed from absorption in material contamination. The pure soul will be able to return home back to Godhead. So if you've been completely focusing on Krishna through your chanting, through your reading, through your hearing, through your serving, Krishna has always been the center of your mind, of your consciousness, then at the last minute he will remain the center of your consciousness and you can go back home. So it's mentioned that as our time ticks away, we want to engage ourselves in the service of Krishna more and more, and give more time to spiritual activities, less to material activities, completely dedicating ourselves in the service of the Lord. The activity of the mind cannot be stopped. They are a reflection of the eternal soul, but they can be changed. Their quality can be changed, as we've said. So, okay, you can understand that we're not Mother Yudhishthira, we're not Arjun, we're not the Pandavas, we're not Mata Kunti. So we have to practice giving up these material engagements and attach ourselves more to the spirituality, give more time to that. So slowly, 10%, 20%, 30%, like that we increase our time. Slowly we stretch ourselves, we make time, we reduce our material requirements and spend the time on spirituality. So slowly you build it up, until like there's more spirituality than material in your life. And whatever material you're doing, you do it with Krishna, Krishna in the center, that you're doing for him, whether you're exercising or you're relaxing, spending time with the family, you do it like relaxing, can understand the bodily requirements, but also that these are people that Krishna has given me, and I need to keep them satisfied, keep them happy, help them as well, and give them spirituality. So like that, Krishna should always be the center, but help them, help yourself as well. 42. Titve hutva cha panchatvayam tach cha atve juhon muni sarvam atmani ajuhavid brahmani atmanam avyaye. So tritve into the three qualities, hutva, having offered cha also panchatvam, 5 elements, that cha also ektave in one essence, ajuhot amalgamated, muni the thoughtful, sarvam the sum total, atmani in the soul, ajuhavit fixed, brahmani on the spirit, atmanam the soul, avyaye onto the inexhaustible. So thus, in highlighting the gross body of 5 elements into the 3 qualitative modes of material nature, he merged them in one essence and then absorbed that essence in the self, Brahman, which is inexhaustible in all circumstances. What does that mean? So all that is manifested in the material world is the product of the Mahat Tattva Avyakt, and things that are visible in our material vision are nothing but combinations and permutations of such variegated material products. But the living entity is different from such material products, because it is due to the living entity's forgetfulness of its eternal nature as eternal servant to the Lord, and his false conception of being a so-called Lord of the material nature, that he is obliged to enter into existence of false sense enjoyment. Thus, the concomitant generation of material energies is the principal cause of the mind's being materially affected. Thus, the gross body of 5 elements is produced. Maharaj Yudhishthira reversed the action and merged the 5 elements of the body in the 3 modes of material nature. The qualitative distinction of the body as being good, bad or mediocre is extinguished, and again the qualitative manifestations become merged in the material energy, which is produced from a false sense of pure living being. So when one is thus inclined to become an associate of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead in one of the innumerable planets of the spiritual sky, especially in Goloka Vrindavan, one has to think always that he is different from the material energy. He has nothing to do with it. So because we are so close to material energy, and our body is made of material, our mind is material, we start thinking that we are also material. it's natural. Even that we want to, we have interest, we have invested interest in material energy, so we automatically think that we are material. When one is thus inclined to become an associate of Supreme Lord, the person regarded in one of the innumerable planets of the spiritual sky, especially Goloka Vrindavan, one has to think always that he is different from the material energy. He has nothing to do with it, and he has to realize himself as pure spirit, Brahman, qualitatively equal with the Supreme Brahman, Parameshwar, but only qualitatively, not quantitatively. Maharaj Yudhishthira, after distributing his kingdom to Parikshit and Bhajar, did not think himself emperor of the world or head of the Kuru dynasty. This sense of freedom from material relations, as well as freedom from the material engagement of the gross and subtle encirclement, makes one free to act as the servitor of the Lord. Otherwise, we're serving material energy, so we have to give that up and serve Krishna, even though one is in the material world. This stage is called the Jivan Mukta stage, or liberated stage, even in the material world. That is the process of ending material existence. One must not only think that he is Brahman, but must act like Brahman. One who only thinks himself Brahman is an impersonalist, because you think you're God, right? Like impersonalists think they are Brahman, God is Brahman, so we are all God. And one who acts like Brahman is the pure devotee. So understand, I'm not this body, I'm a spiritual soul, and what are the requirements, or what does the soul need? So you focus on that rather than what my body needs, and what excitement, enjoyment it needs. You concentrate on what the soul, how does the soul get nourished. So Srila Prabhupada is revealing our mistake of forgetting our eternal nature of being transcendental servants of God. Our forgetfulness leads to misconception of trying to enjoy the reflection of reality. So it's just a reflection, it's just a shadow. We should constantly remind ourselves we are not part of material energy, I am spiritual. So but like I said, it's very easy to forget because we're surrounded by material energy, we're surrounded by everything material, and we start, thinking that we are also material, and because of the association. So we need to take more association of spirituality rather than material life, material enjoyment. And in 43, Chirvasa Niraharo Badvan Mukta Miru Dahjayaha Darshyam Atmano Rupam Jadonamat Pisha Chavat Anvekshimano Niragad Ashranavan Badiro Yatha. So Chir Vasaha Chir Vasaha accepted torn clothing. Nirharaha gave up all solid foodstuffs. Badvak stopped talking. Mukt Murdajaha untied his hair. Darshan began to show. Atmana of himself. Rupam bodily features. Jad inert. Anmat mad. Pishachvat just like an urchin. Anveksham Manaha, without waiting for. Nirgat was situated. Asharnavan, without hearing. Badiraha, just like a deaf man. Yatha, as if. So after that, Maharaj Yudhishthira dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foodstuffs, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything, and just like a deaf man, he heard nothing. Thus, being freed from all external affairs, he had nothing to do with imperial life or family prestige, and for all practical purposes, he posed himself exactly like an inert mad urchin and did not speak of material affairs. He had no dependence on his brothers, who had all along been helping him. This stage of complete independence from everything is also called the purified stage of fearlessness. So he's totally shut himself off from material life. And it must be very painful for people around him, his citizens who see him. It must be very painful. If we are leaving this world, the devotees can create a favorable environment and help us to live. We should consider ourselves part of Srila Prabhupada's family, part of Krishna's family, and remove the identity, I belong to this world, this family. So that's surely, slowly but surely. And in quickly just to 44, Udicham Parvivesha Vyasham Gat Purvam Mahatamabihi Hirdi Brahm Param Dayan Nivartate Jato Gatha. So Udichim, the northern side, Parvivesh Asham, those who wanted to enter there, Gat Purvam, the path accepted by his forefathers, Maha Atambi, by the broad-minded, Hridi, within the heart, Brahma, the supreme, Param, Godhead, Dayan, constantly thinking of Na Avartata, past these days, Yatha, wherever Gata went. He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality Godhead, and he lived in that way wherever he went. So it is understood from this verse that Mahayudhishthira followed in the footsteps of his forefathers and great devotees of the Lord. We have discussed many times before that the system of Varnashram Dharma, as it was strictly followed by the inhabitants of the world, specifically by those inhabited by Aryavart province of the world, emphasizes the importance of leaving all household connections at a certain stage of life. The training and education was imparted, and thus a respectable person like Mahayudhishthira had to leave all family connection for self-realization and going back to Godhead. No king or respectable gentleman would continue family life till the end, because that was considered suicidal and against the interests of perfection of human life. In order to be free from all family encumbrances and devote oneself 100% in the devotional service of the Lord, service of Lord Krishna. This system is always recommended for everyone because it is a path of authority. The Lord instructs in the Bhagavad-Gita 1862 that one must become a devotee of the Lord at least at the stage of one's life, last stage of one's life. A sincere soul of the Lord like Mahayudhishthira must abide by the instruction of the Lord for his own interest, and not just for his own interest for his citizens as well, for others to follow that. And the interesting thing is that Kali Yuga has kicked in, and it's recommended at least now by Lord Chaitanya, that you don't have to leave home in the Kali Yuga. It's not recommended, but at that time, even though the Kali Yuga had kicked in, Mahayudhishthira still followed the Varnashrama system. The specific words Brahm Param indicate Lord Shri Krishna. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad-Gita 10.13 by Arjuna with reference to great authorities like Asita, Deval, Narad and Vyas. Thus Mahayudhishthira, while leaving home for the north, constantly remembered Lord Shri Krishna within himself, following in the footsteps of his forefathers, as well as the great devotees of all times. So to free oneself from the material life and material family, in the Bhagavad-Gita 1862, the Lord instructs that one should become a devotee of Krishna at least at the last stage of life. Okay, let's stop here. And let's hear from yourselves. And let's start with Hina Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the class. Some of the points that I noted were around verse 39 about Varnashram Dharma and how generally it's not followed in society, as we know, but these distinct stages of life helps one to progress through material life and then to reduce those demands and develop our spiritual life, which you kindly explained, Prabhu. And it just allows then for devotional life to be the main focus towards the latter years. And then obviously the verses we've covered from 40 onwards were around Maharaj Yudhishthira was able to, it was almost, he stepped away from royal opulence and detached himself from his position. And yeah, I think my kind of thoughts on that was that materially, that one who's materially attached, it's almost like it's something that can hold us back from completely wanting Krishna. And as you said, those material desires that we might have means that we may have to also take another life. We have to come back to fulfill those desires. So ideally, I guess the key goal is to die with no material desires, really only wanting Krishna. If I've understood everything correctly. I also think just this week I saw something on social media, and it was a reel about how, that we must be very clear on our life's purpose. And he was talking generally about goals in life, possibly material goals, but it's almost like the way he explained it, it's almost like needing to have that laser focus every day, like why are we here, what's our purpose, and then that naturally will help mold our life in a way that supports that goal, and then that means we can overcome any challenges in life, etc. So keeping that like laser focus on what we want. And like I said, the same thing can be applied to our spiritual life. We can make trying to gain love of God our number one priority, and then make that desire really strong through our prayers and ask Krishna to guide us on this path. Those were my main points. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhuri. Yeah, some people say that why has Prabhupada keeps mentioning in the Bhagavad-Gita, we are spirit soul, we are spirit soul, we are not this body. Saying that, okay, we got the message. Why you keep repeating? Well, we got the message, but we keep forgetting, right? We forget very easily. We could be in a class, understanding now that we're spirit soul. When we walk out, it's natural. When we walk out, we are in the material world. We start behaving like a material person. That we are this body, we are this mind, because everybody else is thinking the same, and we're thinking of gratifying these senses, gratifying the mind. We forget that we stop identifying with the soul. Yeah, so it's a very good point that we've got to keep reminding ourselves again and again, every day, all the time, that we are spiritual, we are spiritual soul, and what are the requirements, what should I do for the soul rather do for my material senses. These material senses are never satisfied. The more you satisfy them, it's like putting fuel over a fire. The more that they want engagement in the material gratification. You can never satisfy the material senses. Thank you, Mataji. Pundikaksh Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandal Pranam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Yeah, this chapter is 15, and Bhagavad-Gita chapter 15 also talks about banyan tree, comparing the spiritual world and material world. And in that, Krishna says, the last verse says that I have given this knowledge to you now, disclose this knowledge, and by knowing this knowledge, one will become wise and become perfect. So Yudhishthira Maharaj become perfect, and he voluntarily left the kingdom and left the position. So everything is under control of time, but certain things are not good to wait for until the time comes. Better you prepare yourself and voluntarily renunciate the things. Otherwise, at that time, it will become very difficult to renunciate as well. And second point is, Prabhuji mentioned, like he delegated, like he makes sure that the the kingdom is protected, and both Madura as well as Kurukshetra. So Parishad Maharaj is here, and Krishna's son is there to lead the Madura. So he makes sure that both are well protected, and then he left. So material work, we should not get attached, but at the same time, we should also find alternatives so that we can get relieved from that, and we can focus on our spiritual activity as well fully. So we should always think about, like, even though when you're doing any service, and always don't get attached to service, but again at the same time you have to groom somebody also in that service, or share what you are undergoing in that service, so that you can get move into other service and other person can take up this service. So we should also make that kind of facilities. I mean, Yudhishthira Maharaj is showing us how we can do all those things. You mentioned, forgetfulness, everything can relate it to only chapter 15 Bhagavad-Gita. Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Udasanvistu Mattas Jana Apohanam Cha. So he is there to remind us. He gives us what we lack and he preserves what we have. So, and he has given the knowledge. So with this knowledge, we have to understand that we have to get detached to this material and attached to the spirituality. That's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, first of all, because he was saintly king, so he was spiritually responsible for everything. He's seeing everything from a spiritual point of view. So he was, it's not like he was like all material as a king, but he was, because he was saintly, he was, he had balanced his spirituality and his duties at the same time. But then, towards the end, he knew, now I have to, stop that and go into the spiritual side. So he made sure of that that's taken care of properly. So yeah, there was another point, but it's gone now. If I remember it, I will mention it again. Yeah. Okay. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. I think right from the outset, you gave a lovely metaphor. The metaphor is that our consciousness is weak. There are holes and gaps for which the impurities of the material world penetrate through. And we have to become a very good builder to plug the leaks, to plug the holes, to cement and plaster over these gaps and imperfections. Because essentially we are spirit souls, but we over-identify with Maya, with this material world. Because of that over-identification with family, body, work, children, our Lamborghinis, and hence our attraction for divinity is mesmerized, because we forget that is our true reality in life. We are spirit souls, but we forget, and hence we are reborn time and time again. Krishna does say, I am your memory, I am forgetfulness. I am your best friend or your worst enemy, and that is the mind. And that mind control is the most significant element of this. After Yudhishthira had completed his earthly, worldly task, he renunciated his worldly position and started to walk north towards the pole star. And hence, this was the process of becoming a sannyas, a mendicant, and to let go of Mayadev. And these are the kind of reminders that the Bhagavatam gives us, that ultimately all the best things in life are free and return back to where the Atma and the Paramatma reside and bring them closer together. And it requires effort, because our bhakti and our sadhana is weak, and our consciousness is weak because of our over-connection with the material world. And so we need to remeditate, refocus, and get back to that loving relationship which we should nurture 24 hours a day to get back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, I've just remembered what Punikash Prabhu was saying, and the thing you mentioned as well now. It was actually regarding remembering and forgetting. I just forgot. Now it's come back to me. Now I remembered. Yeah, I just thinking that Krishna is remembrance and Krishna is forgetfulness. Thank you, Prabhu. So, we remember and we forget according to our desires, right? It's not like Krishna is going to remind us, oh, you are my servant, or I'm God. It's not like that. Our remembrance and forgetfulness is according to our desires, according to our consciousness. It's like a lot of things, whatever we have a focus on, Krishna will remind us. If you want to do bad things, then Krishna will remind us of bad things that we can do. And if you're a scientist, he reminds so many scientists, about this, and it's not like they just, they just thinks that it's not necessarily them. Krishna puts those ideas in their head because that's probably what they want in previous life. They wanted to invent something, they want to discover something, right? So Krishna reminds them, oh, you wanted to be a scientist, you wanted to discover this, or something important. Here you go. It's according to our consciousness what we want, and that consciousness carried through life after life, and then Krishna reminds us at the right time. He's happy to go along with whatever your consciousness wants to do. He doesn't, he knows eventually you will come back to him, but he lets you get into those desires if you so wish, but then you become back again life after life. We want to stop those desires, then he can help us become Krishna conscious. Prabhu, you put something, is it related to this? This is the most comprehensive part of Vedic scriptures. All sinless one, it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands well become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, he'll help you if that's what you want. He will help you with that. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Ajay Gorai Prabhu. Haribol.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Very nice points by all devotees here. Yudhishthira Maharaj, the way he approached is going back to Godhead, the way he gave up his kingdom, just completely attached himself to Krishna. It's just so impressive, really. It's so easy to make excuses about, oh, I've got this responsibility, oh, I need to do this, need to do that. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he had all the responsibilities you could imagine. He was king of the world, so respected. He was a very important personality, not only in that time, but throughout our history. And yet he just sets, he sets the benchmark of what we need to be doing when we shouldn't be, being distracted, making excuses. Just take to Krishna Bhakti, take to following Krishna's instructions straight away. And we see that with the, those that advance faster in Bhakti, those who are, as explained in the one of the last verses, Jiva and Mukta, that's how they become liberated. Even though they're still in the material body, they become liberated because they have completely given up their personal interest. They're only interested in serving Krishna. And that's that discipline, that desire, that forthrightness that we need to develop. I certainly need to develop. It's so easy to forget. You can be completely blissed out in one moment, and then all of a sudden something happens, or somebody says something, and then you're worried about this, or you're going, oh, I need to do that. So easy to forget. And that's a weakness that needs to be fixed. It's not that just because a problem arises in your daily life, you suddenly forget about orientating everything around Krishna. That shouldn't be the case. Everything should be brought back to Krishna. Whatever the situation, whatever the activity, your thoughts should always be oriented at Krishna. And then if you could do that like Maharaj Yudhishthira, then the process is very straightforward. He makes it look so simple. And that's a discipline that we need to develop, really. I think and it's shown in himself, Arjuna, the Pandavas, they've shown that discipline. It is possible. Just again, I think maybe we just need to go practice. I mean, there's some mercy involved there, but again, if you are serving the Lord, I mean, even if you serve the Lord during the last stage of your life, it is still possible. The mercy is there. We just need to be willing to take to the process. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. And they were exalted. They also demonstrated, can just so quickly give up everything, whereas we are asked to give up slowly. We can give up slowly, but give up slowly, in steps. But these, they're so exalted, they just can give up straight away everything, all the world. Well, Dhritarashtra, he could not give up. He had to be forced to give up. But the Pandavas, they just gave up straight away. Thank you so much. And so Guru Rai Prabhu, he will be doing the overview on next Wednesday. And so Monday we'll finish this chapter, and on Wednesday evening we'll have the overview. So look forward to that so much.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, Prabhupada has painstakingly, decoded all the verses for us so beautifully in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in Bhagavad-Gita, and he has done the hard work in the Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. And on top of that, he has given us little bite-sized little books which we can see on the Veda basis as well. For example, Canto 10 is condensed into Krishna book, though it's not recommended that we should go straight to Canto 10, but it is so beautiful. It's all about the pastimes of Lord in Vrindavan. It is there in Krishna book. And I was thinking that Lord is forgetfulness, Lord is remembrance, and Lord has given us the examples in the pastimes in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as we have seen, that how Maharaj Khatwanga, in the last moment, he got everything. So if you have done the hard work in this life or last lives, or if you have the desire, you don't know where the mercy is going to come from and how it's going to change your the course of your soul, just like that we'll be able to dissolve all our senses, mind, this material body, and even the soul will be given as a spiritual soul. Even they say the soul has to become more spiritualized to be able to enter into the kingdom of Lord in Golok Vrindavan, in the spiritual sky. So beautifully described by Srila Prabhupada, all the purports, that how Maharaj Yudhishthir went step by step closer to his ultimate goal. He did all the duties when Krishna was there present amongst them. He did his brahmacharya ashram, we can say. He did his grihastha ashram, then he did his vanaprastha ashram beautifully, and finally now to the vanaprastha ashram he's gone into. So they are just showing that even Raj Rishis, the people who are the emperors of this world, in this world we hear that someone has become trillionaire, or some business has become worth $1 trillion, or this or that. That is nothing. We're talking about entity like Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was the emperor of this world, who was holding everything, who was the holder of everything, literally everything in the world. But how beautifully he made sure that after he's not present on the scene, everything is looked after properly. The lives carry on for each and every one, whether it's people or even the animals. I think everyone was protected nicely. So this is the kind of vision we have to have, and this is what Krishna wants us to do, and this is what I think we are trying to do. Like we are sitting on this call, we are trying to get closer. This is the only way, because like we were saying that and hearing that, we are well focused at the moment, but the moment we turn off our devices, next thing is going to be Maya, our daily life. This is to be done, that is to be done. But we have to keep Krishna at the back of our head all the time, the Maha Mantra back of our head all the time, that everything we are doing is for Lord. Even if the mind tries to divert, just recall what we heard in the morning. And that is, we are nothing like Maharaj Yudhishthir or the exalted personalities, but but we all are part and parcels of Lord. So we all have the potential, but we have to generate the activity to bring out this potential in us, and that is what Lord is looking for from us. And very nice realizations from all of you here, and just shows that how well tuned everyone is into Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And this is the magic of the Shastras. I've seen the Shastras, they pull us towards them as we try to pay our attention to them, as our energies are directed towards these. Krishna from within and around and through the devotees who are there, it just helps us. And even the circumstances of our lives, we are able to navigate into such way that we can make most of everything in our lives, and everything becomes Krishnized, like they say. And this is what is needed. This is what Krishna consciousness is. This is what Krishna Bhavanamrit is, that our bhavana, our consciousness has to be, totally revolving around our Creator, and with whom we are separated at the moment in Vipralamba Bhav, like our Acharyas say, the Gaudiya Acharyas say. And we have to try to, the soul should be attracted towards the magnet that is Lord. Slowly, that let God be the decider of what is going to happen to our souls, if whichever way He wants us to serve Him in this life or after. And what a beautiful day to do these verses on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, who was called the Lion Guru. That he used to preach to the very, very educated ones, and he had the way. And that's what we have to learn, that we have to give the message to the people according to the abilities, and just come down to their level. If it's a neophyte, just give them little bite size. If it's someone who is higher than you, take something from them. This is what life is all about. It's give and take, and give and take in Krishna consciousness, the highest level. What else we can aspire for? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And there's something interesting that someone asked, because most religions have a scripture, and someone asked a Krishna conscious person, a devotee, so what scripture do you follow? And if you go to Veda base, he said, we don't follow scripture, we have a whole library. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada, he's translated so many, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Study, Bhagavad-Gita, and nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion. There's so many scriptures. We have a whole library to work from. So we have everything, at our disposal. So so blessed. And thanks to Srila Prabhupada, and thanks to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because he encouraged Prabhupada to come. He encouraged him to translate them in English for us, and now we are able to discuss them. So, Granth Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande,
Hare Hare Bol.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.